Hi everyone and welcome to this class on percentages. Percentages, I guess, is is the most important concept in any competitive exam. All questions would somewhere or the other, be it quant or be it DI, there will be some concept of percentage fraction involved. Sometimes you may not know that it is percentage, but finally what you're doing is a percentage calculation. And I've seen a lot of students struggling with that concept, okay? And hence it's very, very important that you attend this class very, very attentively, understand. It's very basic, very simple. And once you've understood this, you will be able to do all percentage-based questions and otherwise also other questions which involve percentage in a jiffy, believe me. Okay, so let's first understand the theory part of it. Percentage or percent, basically if you see, is made of two words. One is per and one is cent. Okay, so cent is 100 like paisa. So in a lot of other countries you use cents. So basically it is per 100 that it means, or for every 100. That is the literal meaning. Okay, it is derived from the French word cent, and cent in French is 100. Okay, so that is where it comes from, per cent. So per 100. Okay, so when you write 20%, it means 20 parts out of 100 parts. So in general, the basic statement denoting percentage is A is X% of B. Okay, A is X% of B is a complete statement. For example, if I say that my salary is 20%, does it make any sense? My salary is 20%. Okay, so it is same as saying that A is X%. I'm just saying this part, A is X%. My salary is 20%. It makes no sense, right? But if you say my marks in the exam are 78%, this still makes sense because you know that marks are out of 100. So 78% means that 78 out of 100. Though in salary it does not make sense because 20%, there is no reference point. I can't make out any meaning of this. So percent by itself is an incomplete value. It does not tell you anything. It has to be attached to a base. So when you say A is X% of B, then it makes sense. Okay, and then how do you convert it? Because if any value has a percentage attached to it, this, my salary is 20%, you can't do any calculation with this. So to do calculation, you'll have to remove the percentage sign. Okay, so this whole thing, A is X% of B, if you convert this English to maths, A is will become equal to X%. You remove percentage by putting 100 in the denominator. This is the standard method. X% will always be written as X upon 100. So your percentage is gone. Of in maths is multiply B. So A is equal to X upon 100 into B. This is how this English will get converted to maths. That is what is mentioned here. Okay. Obviously from here we can also say that X is equal to A upon B into 100. This is also fine, right? That means percentage is equal to A was the actual value, B is the total value upon 100 into 100. Okay, so here for this statement to make sense, I will say my salary is 20% of your salary. Then it makes sense. My salary is 20% of your salary. So my salary, let's say, is A, your salary is B. It means my salary, let's convert English to maths, is 20% of your salary. This is the maths, and now you can do all your calculations. Okay, so this is the basic meaning of percentage. Okay, if you just say 30%, okay, all that you can do is you can say 30 upon 100. You can remove percentage, put 100 in the denominator. That's all that you can do. Though again, you see, you can't really move forward with this. There has to be some attached data. But this is what 30% will mean. And to make the sentence meaningful, you'll have to have something like this, where you compare percentage with something. Okay, with your salary, this is compared with B. You compare it with something so that it makes sense. Okay, so starting wise, this is the basic concept of percentage. Okay, let's do a couple of simple questions and then we will learn a bit more. Aslam saves 32,000 out of his salary of rupees 80,000, while Salim saves 27,000 out of 60,000. Who saves higher percentage of his salary? Okay, so Aslam saves 32,000 and out of his salary of 80,000. Now, one thing that you always have to understand in percentage, if you see here, what we had written is, let me just erase everything. If you see here, basically A is X percent of B. A is X percent of B. Okay, so one thing very important to understand is there is one value which gets compared and one value with which it gets compared. Okay, so here if you see, Aslam saves 32,000 out of 80,000. What is getting compared? His saving. Out of how much? Out of this. Right. So his saving gets compared from this. So, and this is basically the reference point or the base. You are comparing his saving with his salary. So salary is the reference point, salary is the base with which his saving is being compared. So when you convert this to a percentage, you basically say, okay, his saving is so much out of his salary. Okay, and so you get a fraction. And this fraction, if you want to convert this to a percentage, you multiply this by 100%. Okay, in the previous example, we had seen that if you want to remove percentage, then you put 100 in the denominator, right? So to remove percentage, you put 100 in the denominator, and to add percentage, you multiply the value by 100%. Okay, so this will give you 3 zeros will go away. You will have 4 by 10. 4 by 10 into 100. This is 40%. Right? So Aslam saves 40% of his salary. Okay, his salary was 80,000. 80,000, what will be 10% of 80,000? 10% means how much? 10% means 10 by 100. I told you, you can remove the percentage by putting 100 in the denominator. It means 1 by 10. So 1 by 10 of 80,000 is 8,000. So every 8,000 rupees is 10%. 8,000 into 4 is 32,000. So obviously it should be 10% into 4. It should be 40%. Okay, fine. And at the same time, Salim is saving 27,000 27,000 out of 60,000. Again, if I have to convert this to percentage, I should multiply with 100%. And 3 zeros can go away. 27 and 60 both are multiples of 3. So 9 and 20. That's what you get. Okay, 0, 0 goes away. This also goes away. 5, 9 into 5, you get 45%. Okay, so Salim is saving 45%. So who is saving higher percentage? Salim. Now this, understand this very carefully. Who? Aslam is actually saving 32,000 rupees. Salim is saving only 27,000 rupees. So in money terms, Aslam is saving more, right? 32,000. But in percentage terms, when I compare it with the salary that you get, then Salim is saving 45% of his salary. Salim is saving 45% of his salary, whereas Aslam is saving only 40% of his salary. So this is very important. When you do an absolute comparison is when you compare the values. Aslam is saving more money. But when you do a percentage comparison, then Salim is saving more money. Okay, because he's saving 45%. So that is important. Let's say there's another guy, C. Okay, C has a salary of only 100 rupees, and out of 100 rupees he saves 80 rupees. Okay, now 80 rupees is nothing in front of 32,000 and 27,000, but 80 rupees out of 100 rupees is 80%. So C will end up saving the maximum amount. As a percentage, C is saving 80% now. So what you have to understand very, very carefully is that percentage can be high for a very small value also. So when a percentage question is asked, don't get fooled or don't get carried away by only looking for big values. Small values with a small base can actually be a very, very high percentage. Okay, here you can see Aslam is 40%, Salim is saving smaller amount, but it is 45%. C is saving much smaller amount, only 80 rupees, but it is 80%. Okay, so that is how basically you will be doing this percentage calculation. Okay, I hope we are good till here. Okay, then so here we had an amount and we had to calculate the percentage. This next question is the reverse. We have a percentage and we have to calculate an amount. Okay, so understand, when we had amount, we saw what is to be compared and with what it is to be compared. First to decide that. So what is to be compared, we kept that as the numerator. With what it is to be compared, we kept that as the denominator, and then the answer has to be given in percentage. We multiply it by 100%. So this is how you do comparison, and this is how you convert a value to a percentage. On the other side, if I have a percentage, so this English to maths conversion, 37.5%, you know it is 37.5 percentage. You will remove, put 100 in the denominator. Off will become into 384. Okay, this is how it should be. Now 37.5 and 100 both are multiples of 12.5. Okay, and this we'll discuss also in a bit, but you should know 37.5 is 12.5 into 3. And 100 is 12.5 into 8. Okay, so you get 3 by 8. And 384 is a multiple of 8. So if I cancel this, 4 times you'll get 32, and then 8 times you'll get 64. Okay, so you have 48 into 3. 40 into 3 is 120. 8 into 4 is 24. So you get 144. And this becomes your answer for this question. Okay, so if you have to find out the value of a certain percentage, always very simple, keep that percentage, below that put 100 and multiply by the base. This is the base, right? Because this is with what you are comparing and finding out the percentage. Okay, so 384 is your base in this case. Hence your answer is 144, right? I hope we are good here. Okay, now let's do one more. Sonali invests 15% of her monthly salary in insurance policies. She spends 55% of her salary in shopping and on household. She saves the remaining amount of 12,750. So she has invested 15%, she has spent 55%. This total adds up to 70%. That means she saves 30%. So 30% of salary is equal to 12,750. This is what the equation should be. 30% of salary, because totally your salary is 100%. From that 15% is insurance, 55% is shopping and household. 55 plus 15 is 70, remaining is 30%. Okay, so always remove percentage, when you do a calculation. So it will be 30 by 100 into S is equal to 12,750. Okay, so let's cancel this 0, 0, and this seems to be multiple of 3. Let's cancel this. So you get 4, you get 2, and you get 5. So you get 425. Okay, and S will become 425 into 100. So salary is 42,500. So first answer choice will be your answer for this question. Very, very simple. 30% of salary is 12,750. Hence, salary or 100% of salary or full salary, whatever you want to say, is 42,500. Also, let's try and answer how much does she spend for insurance. She spends 15%, right? So 15 by 100 of salary, which is 42,500. Okay, so 2 zeros will get cancelled. So you will get 425 into 15. So 425 into 10 is 4250, and into 5 will be half of this, 2125. So this gives you 5736. So 6,375 she spends on insurance. How much does she spend on shopping and household? 55 by 100 into 42,500. So 0, 0, 0, 0 goes. You have to multiply this by 55. Okay, so if I multiply this by 50, in fact, I always feel that instead of multiplying by 50, it is always better to multiply by 100 and divide by 2. Okay, so multiplying by 100 will give me again 42,500, and I just divide by 2. It will give me 21,250. Okay, so this is 50%. 5% will be 2125. If I add this, 57,332. So this is what she spends on shopping and household. This is what she spends on insurance, and this is what she saves. These three values, of course, when you add up, you will get 42,500. Okay, fine. Now let's come to an important concept of percentage change. Okay, and this is the most frequently asked question in percentage. So percentages are often used to indicate changes in a quantity. A percentage is a good measure to compare the change in two different quantities depending on the initial value. So let's say a person A in 2023 was earning a salary of 5,000 rupees, and in 2024 the salary became 6,000 rupees. So I want to know by what percentage has his salary increased. Okay, by what percentage has his salary increased? So when you compare percentage change, the first and foremost thing that you have to bear in mind is one of these values will be called the final value and one of them will be called the initial value. Okay, now which value will be the final value? The value which gets compared, and understand this very carefully, the value which gets compared is the final value. The value with which it gets compared is the initial value. Okay, initial value also we call as the base value. Okay, so here 5,000 has become 6,000, right? So obviously you are comparing 6,000 with the previous salary, because 6,000 is the new salary. So you want to know how much has my new salary increased as compared to the old salary, right? So obviously 6,000 should be your final value and 5,000 should be your initial value. Okay, also when you have dates given, this is a date, right? Year, month, day, anything given, by default always the date that is ahead will be the final value. The date that is behind will be the initial value. By default, that is what will always happen. Okay, so first thing is to identify your final value and initial value. Okay, it can be difficult if I say that there are two friends A and B, and A earns a salary of 5,000 and B earns a salary of 6,000. What is the percentage difference between their salary? Now there is nothing, I don't know whom am I comparing with what, there is no date, so no forward date, no backward date. So here, what will be the final value or what will be the initial value depends on whom are you comparing with whom. Okay, so if my question is, by what percentage B's salary is more than A's salary. So in fact, the wording of the question also will tell you B's salary is more than A's salary. B is getting compared. See here very carefully now. B is getting compared. Okay, so he is the final value. And he is more than, this is the giveaway. The moment you see more than, you know that B is getting compared with A. So A is my initial value. Okay. The moment you see more than, less than, after that whatever comes by default, that is the initial value because you are comparing B with A. Now a lot of people tell me that only B can be the final value because B's salary is more than A. But why can't I compare A salary with B? My question then would be, by what percentage A salary is less than, I can say less than B salary. I can say this. Okay. And when I say this, you will notice that now less than, after less than you have B. So actually we are now comparing A. So A is my, let me change the color. A is my final value and B is my initial value. So any value can be final, any value can be initial. It totally depends on the question. Okay. Unless you have dates given. When you have dates given, then by default the future date is final value and the backward date is the initial value. Okay. So first thing is we identify the final and initial value, and then this is the formula that you use for percentage change. Very simple. Final value minus initial value upon initial value into 100%. Okay. Remember this formula. This is something that you are going to use most of the times. Okay. Or in short, this can be called final value minus initial value upon initial value into 100. Initial value, if I cancel, I can also say final upon initial minus 1 into 100. All these are basically the same thing. Right. So here, if I see this part, this one. Okay. So here, if I consider this part, okay, you will notice here that B is my final value, A is my initial value. So hence my answer will be 6,000 minus 5,000 upon 5,000 into 100%. Okay, which is 1,000 upon 5,000 into 100%, or 1 by 5 into 100%, which is 20%. Okay, so 20% will be my answer, that the person's salary has increased by 20%. Okay, at the same time, for this question also, this data and the first question, by what percentage B salary is more than A salary? Again, B is the final value, so 6,000 minus 5,000 upon 5,000 into 100%. The answer for this also is same, 20%. Okay, but for the second question, A salary is less than B salary, then it becomes A salary is your final value, so 5,000 minus 6,000 upon 6,000 into 100%. This answer will be negative, right? But the question has already said less than, so we know that it's going to be negative. So it is minus 1,000 upon 6,000 into 100%. Okay, so basically minus 1 by 6, which is minus 16.67%. So this answer will be minus 16.67%. Okay, so very, very important to understand in a percentage change calculation. First, to understand whether the question is asking you for absolute change or percentage change. Okay, for example, if I ask here, look at this data. See this data A and B. If I ask you B salary is how much more than A salary? B salary is how much more than A salary? I have not used the word percentage. Hence your answer will be 6,000 minus 5,000, 1,000. Your answer will be 1,000 rupees. Because B salary is how much more than A salary? 1,000 rupees. Okay. So this is called an absolute comparison. Okay. You just subtract the values. But if I say B salary is what percentage more than A salary, now I've used the word percentage, and now you will use this formula. Now you are going to use this formula. Otherwise, if my question was B salary is how much more than A salary, you will just do final value minus initial value, the numerator, that's all, which is 6,000 minus 5,000, answer will be 1,000. Or A salary is how much less than B salary? 5,000 minus 6,000, answer will be minus 1,000. That's all. So unless I use the word percentage in the question, Okay, it is not a percentage comparison. Percentage always will say by what percentage. This word is very important. By what percentage, by what percentage. The moment I say this, you know that this is the formula to be applied, and hence you'll apply this and solve, get your answer. Okay, so I hope we are good till here. Fine.